Have you ever wondered why a new romance feels like an all-consuming chemical cocktail? Or why a simple hug from a loved one can feel like instant relief?
It's like a chemical cocktail, if you will.
I love a good cocktail.
Let's stick with the bar theme here. We are getting a chemical cocktail. In our brains, oxytocin is being released, and this is creating what they have found to be this bonding hormone. It helps you feel safe, attached, and like even emotionally close to people.
Today on Chris and Jen, they are pulling back the curtain on the neuroscience of love and belonging. From that thrill of puppy love and those cuddle hormones in our brains to the deep, enduring security of long-term partnership, we're exploring why we are biologically wired for connection. Whether you're navigating the spicy world of new relationships or leaning into falling in love all over again after 20 years, this episode is for you. Stick around as we dive into the science, the self-care, and the heart of what it means to belong. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Chris and Jen in the Morning.
Where self-care meets real life.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Jen. We are excited to be here today.
Oh my gosh, we're going to talk about love.
Love, I got the sweater.
All the hearts. You're bringing all the love.
We prepared a little song for you.
Yeah, ready?
L is
for the way you look
at me.
O
is
for
'cause you're
the...
the only one.
We apparently did not prepare the same song.
I see. V is because you're very extraordinary.
E is even more than anyone that you adore, and love was made for you and me. I totally made that all up. I'm pretty sure I put together like 2 songs there.
I make up all the words.
Anyways, today we are talking about love. And this kind of like got spurred off of Frank and I have we've started and finished watching a few love stories featuring LGBTQ plus characters. So we watched Heated Rivalry on HBO Max. We were late to the party, but let me tell you,
Worth it?
we had all the feels by the end of that show.
Huh?
I would say don't watch with children because it's
a little saucy.
It's very spicy. And then we watched Heartstoppers on Netflix, and that was another one that got me all up in my feels. Those are the most notable. We watched a couple other movies and such, but I walked away from watching those, and I found myself just like reminiscing a lot on them, like thinking about the storylines and just like, really caught up in my feelings. And I started, of course, then, why am I stuck in my feelings? What's happening? And so I really started like evaluating all of those things. And kind of the place that I came to is like that idea of like when you fall in love for the first time and like there's new relationship, new opportunities, like it's this excitement that's there. And so then I'm just like, oh, like I'm married. Like, what does that mean? Like, why am I stuck in these feelings about this? And then kind of to bring back a full circle moment, I was then like, well, also let's remember like what falling in love felt like. Like the first part was like the fun part. I had all those like good feelings, the endorphins, like all of those wonderful hormones. And then all of a sudden, like the breakups happen or the in-between parts, between the falling and the breakup. And it's like, oh, I don't miss all of that.
I don't know. I feel like, and you've been married how many years?
This will be 3 years.
3 years. Okay. So 21 years. I feel like what I have learned being married this long is that like being with somebody for that long, it's not about not ever experiencing new love again. It's about falling in love all over again, all the time. Like you get to know each other in different ways. Your relationship deepens in from different angles. You go through different experiences in life together. You grow up together, right? Like it just gives you this opportunity to see people from, to see that person from a different perspective. And, I don't think that's something that is talked about very often, but like, as you're talking about, like, I don't know, am I ever going to experience new love again? I feel like you will.
Well, and it's not
With
that
Frank,
right.
right?
Like I'm not looking for like love beyond my
Yeah.
relationship.
Oh, no, for sure.
Like it's
So
this,
I wrote that down.
right. You're like, I'm texting Frank right now.
Before it comes out.
But that's kind of where,
Yeah.
as we were thinking about doing this episode, and we I was like, I just would love to talk about this and what happens in our brains, because as I was reflecting back on like the kind of the first relationships I was in, I had this great coworker who I kind of shared this stuff with, and I just remember them sharing with me like, gosh, if I could just bottle that feeling that you are talking about right now, I could be rich. And like bottle it, sell it, people would eat it up. Like it is this
See,
all consuming.
We just experience things very differently. For me, like that new love is all about like uncertainty, instability. Like you never know what you're like, I am not a big fan of uncertainty. Like I'm the one who,
Shocked by that
if you're going to
revelation.
throw a surprise party for me, you better like give me some clues that there's going to be a surprise.
And not
because-
subtle ones, because you won't pick up on them.
Correct. I don't deal with surprises, even good ones, very well. And so that kind of like insecurity of like that uncertainty of new sort of relationships. I mean, you've seen as like I build new friendships with people, like I'm a mess.
It's never a dull moment when Jen's involved.
Never a dull moment. It's like, oh my God, do they like me? Did I say something wrong? Am I just too much? Am I? So yeah, I'm just getting real here, guys. Like I may look coolish on the surface, but underneath it all, it's a little crazy.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about all that today.
We are. But before we get to that, let's talk about our gratitude moments. Let's do our gratitude moments. And on the way to gratitude moments, let's just stop off at asking, as we are grateful for all of you who are listening, we would really love for you to come help us build our community. Chris and I decided to embark on this endeavor of a podcast and bring our conversations about self-care and growth and all of that to a platform where other people could join us, because this community that Chris and I have had has been such an impactful, special thing for us.
Yeah,
and we
certainly
wanted to share that. So we would super love for all of you to hop into the conversation with us by following, subscribing on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Like, share, comment, please, because we want to hear from you. We want this to be not just a conversation between Chris and I, but a conversation that includes all of you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so, Jen, gratitude moment. What is it?
I think today, one of the things that I'm super grateful for is Hallmark movies, to be quite honest. I mean, it's Valentine's Day. You want a good, safe, show to watch. I mean, when I say safe, I mean guys, I watched Punch Drunk Love, Drunk Punch, whatever that was. We had to go walk around somewhere brightly lit in the middle of the night because I was like, I feel so uncomfortable.
It wasn't the storyline you were looking for.
Just didn't give you all those warm feels, the warm fuzzies. With a Hallmark movie, you know what you're getting. You're going to get those warm fuzzies. And, there are some of the actors that I really, really enjoy who make it whatever however ridiculous. It's just always hilarious. So when I think about Valentine's Day and a good rom-com flick, of course there are, the greats out there, but then there's also Hallmark movies. And I just I would be I would be sad if we didn't have that. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to get to be entertained and for all of the work that all of the people who make those movies put into it, because I really get a lot of joy out of it.
Shout out to Hallmark.
Shout out.
My gratitude moment is actually for a friend who is going to come and take care of our precious little dog and our apartment while we go on our little vacation getaway. Usually we take Ollie with us everywhere we
He goes
go.
everywhere.
Yep. He loves to
Fits in
travel.
your pocket.
And so leaving him generally causes a little bit of stress and anxiety, and
Wait, for you or for Ollie?
everyone involved, mainly because I let my stress, enter the room usually before I do. I'll work on that. But it's nice to know that there is a friend who truly understands, cares, and she's coming to watch, and this is the second time she's going to do this for us in the 4 years we've had him, 4 or 5 years we've had him. So it's important. He's important to us. He's our little baby. And so just a huge thank you to her for taking care of him for us.
I love that. Shout out.
Shout out. All right. Let's talk about love.
Let's talk about love. Let's start with why we crave this belonging, Chris. You know that. If we think about this now as somebody who I just said had been married for 21 years, so I've been in a relationship with the same person for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think I still crave belonging in that relationship. But, also, I get it, but I'm not saying I don't have the belonging. I'm just saying I still need it.
Right.
When I think back to those times before I met him, before I knew him, that absolutely was the feeling of wanting to have somebody that wanted me, wanting to feel like I belonged in friendships, but also, that little puppy love.
Right. The romantic love.
Yeah. Why do we crave it? What's going on there?
Look, I think what's super interesting, and we talk about our brains and the neuroscience behind things, our brains are evolved. And so, from the start
are they?
They certainly have come a long ways, if you ask me. But a lot of what our brains have done are wired for connection. And so it's that belonging, because when you had a group of people, you had security, you had safety, you had a group to help watch out for the threats, and not just the emotional threats, but the actual physical threats, like the dinosaurs that would come to try to eat you and things like that. So when you have that group, it creates those social bonds. And as we have evolved, those social bonds still exist and have maybe even gotten a little bit more complicated.
Yeah.
As you think of all the technology that has also entered the space, since the cave person.
Well, yeah. And feeling included literally does feel good. When I think about, being a part of a group, feeling like you finally fit in somewhere, or with an individual, feeling like you finally, have that vibe going, you get dopamine and oxytocin flooding your system that, sort of give you this feeling of I don't know, feels good, right?
Right. Exactly.
And that's your brain rewarding.
Correct.
Whatever you're doing in creating those relationships. It's so interesting.
It is interesting. On top of that interesting fact, it's also this idea that our nervous systems don't separate. This idea of romantic love, friendship, family, community. It's that connection, that belonging. You want to feel connected to another human being. And although we have the feelings of the people, the closeness of family, the people that you love, those feelings may be different, but our nervous systems don't register that threat component. So it doesn't matter if it's a friend or a loved one. If you start to feel rejected, or that there may be some friction, it still just doesn't feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. How many times have I felt like I could relate to Meg Ryan in the scene in When Harry Met Sally, when she finally loses it over being broken up with by what, and really it was because the guy is getting married to somebody else, and she'd been telling herself, well, it's not about me. It's just because they don't want to get married, and then the guy ends up getting married. Spoiler alert, this movie's been out forever, guys. He's going to get married. And that was what she said is like, why doesn't he want me? What's wrong with me? Like she feels so unwanted, not included. And I think most of us could relate to that red nose, big puffy eyes, sobbing, crazy hair Meg Ryan.
Right.
With tissues all over the place at some point in life. But, I remember feeling that way back in that kind of young puppy love phase of like the little, I don't know. It's so funny to look back and think about those as relationships because now, like, that's not even how I would define that. But
exactly.
It wasn't about like, this person is so amazing and I wanted to be with this person forever. I mean, when you're, that young, like, you don't even have those concepts. But it was like, what's wrong with me? Why don't they like me?
Yeah.
Which is, obviously not what love is actually about.
But it does turn out that is your brain just doing what your brain was meant to do.
Yeah, it does. And it's like that anxious attachment energy, right? Which is that fear-based, insecure, relational, like relationship style that's characterized by that deep, persistent craving for validation and closeness and reassurance. And it's like managing these abandonment fears. And so I think one of the things that I've learned is, like, if this feels relatable, if this is something that you're struggling with, if you are one of the characters in the Hallmark movie going, like, why can't I just find somebody? Instead of the, like, side character best friend going, oh, just love yourself, work on yourself.
Right.
But it is such good advice. If you feel like you can relate to that, it might be a signal that you're not getting your validation and your self-worth from within. As many of us don't. And that is something most of us have to learn how to do. And so having that self-worth and that self-value be something that you decide to give yourself, because it is a choice and a decision, it is something you can learn how to do, that actually provides more security, right?
Yeah. I absolutely hear what you are saying, and I'm not saying that I disagree with it, but I do think
he
disagrees. I just think like in today's society, it is like that is the common thing. Like, oh, you can't find someone? Well, just focus on yourself. Like, go on vacations and, take yourself on a date. You don't need someone to take you on a date.
I'm not saying like that you shouldn't want to have and create that connection with another person. What I am saying is if that feeling that you're having is because you are feeling unwanted or like you're not enough, that voice, that is something that you need to fix for yourself. Because if you are searching for a companion, a friendship, or, a romantic relationship to fill that need, then you're always going to be unstable and insecure, right? And it's like you're putting so much on that other person,
right?
That when they don't show up as their best selves, it becomes like such a much bigger thing because it's always about you and whether they want you and whether you're enough.
Yeah. Well, and I do think like that's a really important piece to this is understanding, where those feelings are coming from. Feelings are complicated. They are very much
feelings
so
are
attached.
Uncomfortable. Can I just say that? For me, anyway.
Well, I think a lot of people feel that way. And I do think like when people are seeking happiness, like, oh, I'll be happy once I obtain this job, once I obtain this type of partner, once I've obtained this vehicle or stature or whatever. And I do think like there is a lot of conversation going on, especially within the past, I would say like 5 to 10 years about like finding that happiness within yourself and finding that validation. But I do think it's very easy to conflate different things and forget like, but what is at the root of what that want and what that longing is? And if you've done that evaluation and it is coming from a healthy place, then great. Maybe it's starting to evaluate like how you're trying to find your dating pool, as I was once told by a therapist.
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, if you're going to the hot hitting bar every night and yet you're looking for a serious partner, like that may not be the easiest place to find somebody also looking for a serious partner. I don't know.
Do people even go to bars anymore to find people?
I am not the right person to ask that question because
It's been
when
21 years.
friends are like, hey, we're going to go to the bar, I'm like, how do I get out of this? I don't, that's literally the last place I want to be. It's so loud. There's so many people. I'm going to have to wear something that I'm not comfortable in. Like, why would I want to do literally any of that? And I know that I'm alone in that. Well, I'm not alone in that
You're
feeling,
not
but
alone. No.
I know that there are so many people that don't think that way, but then I show up as the one that sits at the table and watches everybody's purse.
All
Going,
right.
how soon until I can leave? I am a wet blanket on this party.
Look, every friend group appreciates that person who wants to watch the stuff and secure the tables. Okay, we can all admit
I
it.
want to do that. It's just not my scene. So I cannot answer that question for you. But I do feel like people do still go to bars and try meet people, or, there are the hookup apps, right? Like you're not gonna, I mean, maybe, but you're probably not gonna find the next like love of your life on Tinder.
He wasn't on Tinder, but I did find the love of my life on another hookup app. So I'm probably not the right person to talk about that.
I said maybe. But...
Look, if we're playing the odds here, okay? Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I met mine through a friend, so.
At a movie theater.
At a movie theater. Yep, and he made that switcheroo in seats, and he'll tell you that that was not what that was about, but I'll tell you that it was.
All right, we're going to add that to the list of things to discuss with Ace whenever we get him on the podcast.
So what's actually happening in the brain? What are the different like things that go on in the brain that like make you crave this attachment?
It's like a chemical cocktail, if you will. Let's stick
cocktail.
Let's stick with the bar theme here. we are getting a chemical cocktail. So in our brains, oxytocin is being released, and this is creating what they have found to be this bonding hormone. Yeah, so it helps you feel safe, attached, and like even emotionally close to people, which I'm just like...
Do I get this with like my dog?
I mean, that's what I'm not really sure about. I'm feeling like yes, because it's bonding, right? It is that you're beginning to feel drawn, connected, safe, and you're building a relationship. So I would say yes, this counts with Chloe and Lola.
I had to Google it. And what the internet says, as you've said, the internet is never wrong. The internet says, yes, petting a dog releases oxytocin, often called the cuddle chemical, in both the human and the dog.
Love that. The cuddle hormone.
Yeah. Validating what you said and what we know, that the hormone is associated with bonding, trust, and increased relaxation. This is actually like, there are plenty of actual valid articles backing this up.
Okay, that's great. We'd love to come from a reliable source.
Yeah, so
oxytocin is that first ingredient in that cocktail. You have dopamine, and we've talked about that before. That comes from that reward center, and that's helping you feel like that connection feels exciting and that this person is good. So likely, if you've been on a date with someone and you didn't get the good vibes, that's probably because you didn't get the hit of the dopamine you were looking for.
Yeah, I mean, or because they were weird and like floss their teeth with their hair or something. I mean, I don't know.
Has that happened?
Just weird. There's weird stuff can happen. I mean, Ace doesn't do that. He's over there mimicking it right now. But if he did that, we would not. He would have to get that fixed. I don't know. Like, I would not have gotten that good feeling.
No, absolutely not.
I'm trying to think.
The fight or flight would have kicked in for me, and I'm pretty sure I would have chosen flight.
I'm trying to remember, like, when we were dating, was texting a thing? It was a thing, right? We texted then. Oh, God, I'm so...
It was probably older. The texting where you had to, like, click the button multiple times to get the letter.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just trying to put us on a timeline here.
Okay. Well, I remember hearing from Ace, and we were in college and went to the same college, and we would leave little notes on each other's cars in the parking lot. And it's like I would walk up and see a little note under my windshield wiper on the car. I know texting is like so much easier now, but guys, like, seriously, leave a note on her car. It's like the sweetest thing. But like just that feeling of like dopamine rushing in, like I heard from my person and you feel really good. So, and then there's serotonin, mood stability and calm, right? The healthy connection can regulate your emotional baseline. I also think as you're like, you think about animals, and my therapist actually tells me this often, like if you're feeling like you're really, really stressed, like spend some time getting down on the floor with your dogs,
Yeah.
petting them, because they do help regulate that calmness and that mood stability. And then you've got endorphins, which give you that comfort and warmth, like why a warm hug or laughter with someone can feel like relief sometimes. I
Well,
know
and that's like,
for me, that's big.
yeah, I was just about to say, like, I know when Frank and I have been apart for a while, like, it's just like, I just want a hug.
You're a
Like,
good hugger too. You give good hugs.
thanks.
I know you're constantly, we're saying, just get on a plane and come give me a hug. And like, I'm kidding, but I'm not actually. We got to get the Chris and Jen jet up and running because
That'd be a very expensive hug.
it's going to have to be like an environmentally friendly one, though.
Yeah,
We don't
agreed.
need to be burning the planet up just for hugs. But
Right.
well, maybe there'll be a robot that can give me a hug like yours. I don't know.
Maybe one day, AI Chris.
Yeah. I'm kind of scared now. I don't know if I want AI, Chris. I don't know. Put him back in the box.
What I find super interesting about all of this is like whenever you hear, because I do love music, is like when you hear like your favorite love song and like it can start to release those endorphins because you've connected it with something and you're starting to attach that. And even if it's not someone yet in your life that you want, it's still those feelings that start to bubble up and you do get those hits, which is why they say, you know, all of our different senses can trigger all the different senses and things in our bodies that can take us back to a memory or make us feel a certain way.
That is how memory gets stored. It's like the different senses at different times. Yeah. Well, you know me, I love music too, and mostly like a really good sad song.
Don't worry. I have something for that a little later.
Oh, good. I'm so excited. I love a good sad song. And, you know, sad songs are great to listen to when you're dealing with the hurt of rejection. So why is it when you get rejected that you feel like you need to grab a pint of Ben and Jerry's and watch every sad movie and listen to all the sad songs and every other Hallmark movie trope for breakups you can find?
Yeah, we've talked about this before where like the brain has a hard time separating both those emotional pain points with the physical pain points. So when something happens, a breakup, maybe, you know, let's just be friends, that can still hurt just as much as like slamming your hand in a door. And so it is real. And so we crave like those safety and that comfort. And, you know, maybe that's talking with a close friend about it. Maybe that's, you know, food or drink. Like, do you think there is like you have to find balance in these things because you can't cover up all those feelings and you can't, you know, go to the fridge and say, forget this. I don't want to engage with this. But you also shouldn't be looking for validation from other people to be able to find balance. So I do think it's one of those things that this is so relatable. It hurts to be rejected, whether it's in a relationship type setting or just like a friendship or even in a working setting. You can feel like the out person and
oh my gosh,
that rejection doesn't feel good.
So, like, let's talk about read receipts. I have read receipts turned off for almost everybody because I'm horrible about like reading messages, or I might like read it and be in the middle of something and want to think about a response or need to think about a response or, you know, whatever. And not because it's like it's serious or whatever, but I don't know, my brain just doesn't process all these things at one time. And like, I'm worried that people will see that I've read it and I haven't responded and they're going to like think something of it. Like, I mean, honestly, if you've texted me and I haven't read it, all you should really read into that is like, I may be have thrown my phone across the house because I'm hiding from it, or like it's about me. It's like not about you. But we do think that so often, right? Like, oh my
Oh,
gosh, I
for sure.
texted and they haven't responded to me and it's been like 24 hours, 48 hours. Like what? We always think it's about us.
Well, I mean, our brain does read social disconnection as danger. And
Yeah.
so we are trying to protect ourselves. And so I actually have a perfect example of a friend who did this so well. This happened years ago. We had been texting about going out and we worked different shifts and whatever. So I ended up hanging out with another group of friends. And when they were done with work, they texted me and I had looked at the text, but I didn't respond because I was with this other group. And their response back to me is like, you have read receipts on. I can see that you've read my text message.
Well,
And-
whoa, stalker much,
But no,
maybe?
but like number one, I did not realize I had read receipts on. Number two, I appreciated the direct, like, hey, just tell me if you don't want to or if you're already busy or whatever. Like, I appreciate direct
don't leave
communication.
me hanging. Yeah. Right. Because we never want to make people feel that way. It usually has nothing to sometimes, but usually it has nothing to do with them.
Right.
It's also like similar to, that like very cliche experience of somebody looking on social media and seeing that, their group of friends all went out and did something and they weren't invited and
Right.
feeling like, oh my gosh, I didn't get invited. And like sometimes there's a reason, or sometimes it's like you said you were going to be busy, or
Right.
or maybe, I don't know, maybe they're just dropping you. I don't know. But like that rejection, it really does hurt. And it fires up all of those places in the brain that makes you go, my gosh, like threat, what's going on? What did I do? If you're like me, it's like, what did I do wrong? I think some people are like, think that it's about the other people, but I can't really relate to that.
It's not something you are feeling in that. I mean, I think it's almost like a coping mechanism to be able to like find that, try to see it from the other perspective, or, tell yourself these other things that could also be true.
Oh yeah, like what else could be true?
Yeah.
No, nobody's really, I mean, maybe some people. Most people aren't doing that in the moment.
Yeah, most people aren't going on that journey.
If they're like seeing people out and about, having left them alone, you're usually like left them out. You're usually going, like, if that's something you're looking for, you're usually going, wait, why? Why did they leave me out? What did I do? Why don't they like me?
Right.
And that ACC, that anterior cingulate cortex, the ACC, our good old friend, it lights up during rejection. It's like that part of your brain that is reading social disconnection as danger, basically. And so like then your whole body starts going into this like protection path, and realizing those signals when you get pulled into that direction is what's so important, because you can keep yourself from like being on that runaway train.
Correct.
Because your brain doesn't know the difference between being ignored and, not being safe if you haven't yet developed those pathways.
Exactly. And to go back like to the song reference, so you hear like, you think you're in love and you found your person and you have your song and it's so lovely and you just turn it up every time it comes on, but then you break up and it's for whatever reason, right? Like, but anyways, that song comes on, all of a sudden those are not the feelings that you are like inspired to feel. And so what do? You turn to switch the song or turn it off or whatever. Like that's because your nervous system starts to like feel that threat. And so, because it has attached those thoughts, feelings with that individual. So you are likely just like, nope, click the button. But I also think this is a lot like why we love a good breakup song, because we want to feel like we aren't the only ones who have been here. We're not the only ones who have experienced this. And I do think like it's a big reason why like Taylor Swift's music is so relatable, because she's singing about things that people have felt and have experienced.
They can relate to.
Exactly. And so all of a sudden I don't feel so alone.
I don't know why I like a sad song. I'm not sure. I mean, I have this great relationship. I really don't know why I am always drawn to the sad songs. I think it's something about like the ballady, the emotion that you hear in the voice. I don't know. But yeah, I can totally understand that. It does. There's like a level of vulnerability in a song that is sad that helps you relate to somebody and makes you kind of feel more normal for feeling that way. Because oftentimes you're going, like, why don't they like me? Am I too much? Am I too much? Am I the only one that thinks like this? Why do I have to be this way? Can you relate to that?
No.
Liar.
Yes, I can. But I also think, like, let's just remember that rejection doesn't hurt because we're weak. Like, I think
Yeah.
there are a lot of people who feel that way and think that. And like, that's not true. It hurts because your brain is protective and it is trying to send off those same warning signals as you would if you were reaching for a hot stove. Like, it's just trying to say danger. And you have to, like you said earlier, like, it's about pulling that runaway train back and getting a little bit of that control back so that you can, start working through those.
Yeah,
feelings.
absolutely. All right. So let's spend a little more time talking about what's going on when we overthink a text message or the lack of a text message or the tone change that somebody has, which may have something to do with us. I mean, it's important to get those nonverbal cues in,
Yes.
but it also may have nothing to do with us. And if you're like me, I always think it's about me.
Well, I'm going to give you the advice that I heard recently, and that is ambiguity is like catnip for an anxious brain. Now, I know y'all can't have cats because Ace is deathly allergic, but cats love catnip.
Cats love catnip. Really?
True
You
story.
don't say.
True
All
story.
right. You don't have cats.
We do not. No, we have
Okay.
birds.
That would be like a classic cartoon.
Exactly. But this is like where the brain hates that uncertainty.
Yeah.
Actually, more than it hates bad news. Like, I don't know if you've heard that before. I was a little surprised by that
I know.
little
I actually
tidbit.
have heard that before. Actually, like there was a lot of conversation earlier this year about that when there was a lot of uncertainty about what was happening economically, and it was basically just like, look. The market hates uncertainty because people hate uncertainty.
Yeah.
They don't know how to plan. They don't know what to do. The brain does. It just hates uncertainty because it keeps you kind of stuck. You don't know like which way you should go. It really does prefer to kind of know versus not know, which is, I think, why when we think about like, what does a healthy breakup look like? It's, in part like having the conversation. And I was talking to a friend actually recently who has kids in high school, was telling me about a breakup with one of her kids, and just like super proud moment where he actually showed up in person, not doing it by text, and had the conversation and told the girl. And I just thought, wow, like, first of all, huge mom props to you for, raising a kid that's so like brave, also so like considerate.
Right.
Because it takes that like uncertainty of a breakup of going, but why didn't they want me? Like, what's wrong with me? What did I do? Why? What's the reason? Which is the question that always gets asked with young love, right? And just having the conversation about it.
Well, and I think that like what you just said, like that idea of young love and being like when you experience that rejection, right? Like when you're in a relationship, it's you have a group of friends. This is my perspective on things, okay? So I did not really like date in high school. I may have gone out on a few dates, but like by the time I was in high school, I knew I was gay and I was not coming out. But I did enough to like, stay under the radar. But when I went through my first real breakup after I had come out and was in my mid-20s, I really struggled because like that peer group that kind of surrounds and supports and kind of like helps lift you up, I didn't have that in my like day-to-day life. Like I had responsibility, I had a job, I had bills, I had totally different stressors. So I do think like being able to have that conversation with someone face to face, be able to answer questions, talk openly, all of those things, like that's also emotional maturity.
Yeah.
But it then create like you have that safety net of your friends and the group that you hang out with to kind of help support you as you're like going through that struggle, because everyone asks those questions. What did I do wrong? Even if they're like, you didn't do anything wrong. I did something wrong. Like,
I mean, honestly, I still do that with my husband. Like,
but
not like,
it's relatable. Like, that's the thing is we are
yeah.
not alone on this journey as much as we feel that way.
Really, we're not. And I do feel really secure in my relationship. But your mind does fill in the gap with those worst case scenario explanations to protect you. And I know that's something that we've talked about before, but it's just so true. So, if you find yourself going, was that period like aggressive? I mean, this text that I got, or I mean, that is not me. I can't relate to that because my sister tells me I text her and I like just text her K, like the letter K for okay, like I'm agreeing. And she's like, stop. Like that's so aggressive. And I'm like, is it aggressive? Like, I don't think just texting the letter K is aggressive.
See, I agree. I'm the same way. Like, I think if once you know someone, first of all, you can't read tone in email, text messages. Okay, I say that, but there's a little asterisk for it. If you know the person, like if you were to text me something and it's like out of character or it's not the same, I would be like, is everything okay? Like, I would.
I mean, if you're struggling here, just read it out loud to somebody else and they will call you on it. Because, it's happened more than once in my life that I have read a text message out loud to Ace. And he has said to me, are you sure they were saying it with that tone that you just gave? Or could they maybe have been saying it with a different tone? And then I have to kind of figure out how to like listen but not show him that he's won.
Gotta keep that balance.
I gotta go eat crow because he's right. Like I totally was giving it a tone that I don't know, maybe that was the tone that was there and maybe it wasn't.
I remember once there was someone who had like brought this email to my attention and was like, can you believe they put 3 exclamation marks? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe they were like super excited or because I rarely use an exclamation mark because I'm yelling or screaming about something. Like it's usually excitement and I want people to feel happy.
I am an overuser of the exclamation mark for sure. I'll write it and then I have to go through and remove some exclamation marks because they can't end every sentence.
Exactly. Yes.
But not because I'm yelling. I never use exclamation marks as like a negative.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say never. I mean, I probably have, but
we'll go through all of your emails and look.
I feel like a period is much more like assertive than an exclamation. An exclamation is like,
yeah. So if you find yourself on those common spirals of, oh, they're mad at me, I said something wrong, or they don't like me anymore, press pause.
Yeah. I mean, it could be nothing, but if you do find yourself there, like it's normal to do that from time to time. Overthinking is a self-protection attempt. I mean, we really should be aware of that and then learn how to pull ourselves back from that. That is the overthinking, or as my therapist will sometimes call it, deep thinking. You're a deep thinker. I'm like, oh, is this just like a polite way to say overthinking? Like, just tell me. Tell me what you think.
Just be direct, would you?
I'm really confused. Is this good? Is this bad? Is this what? Do we need to get rid of it? Which yoga pose do I need to do to expel it? Like, I don't know.
Be direct, would you? Okay.
So let's talk about feeling insecure or like too much. I know I feel like I'm too much all the time, but then I start to get defensive that I feel like I'm too much. Then I get defensive. And then I start like defending myself for being too much. And like, there's no one else has even entered the conversation. Like, this is all just me.
Right. And I do think like that is I don't think everyone will probably identify with this because there are not many times where I've thought to myself, have I been too much? Like, that's not something that I
know
personally struggle
people
with.
That do feel this way.
Yes, but there are, and that's what I was about to say is I've known a lot of people, and maybe it shows up differently as like not so much about like this feeling of too much. So emotional intensity isn't a flaw; it's really just unregulated energy. So it's like this amount, and so when you walk away, you may be like feeling, oh, I was too much because I'm like still buzzing from the interaction or whatever the experience was. And so usually that just means that your nervous system is like really activated. And
when you're feeling like you're too much.
Yeah.
Well, shock. But then that would be something that I deal with. That's crazy. I mean, I can't tell you, Chris, how many times earlier on in our relationship, or even like, I don't know, gosh, we've been friends for forever. And I think probably before we started spending this much time together,
Yeah.
like that really was a thing that I would be like, oh my gosh, I was probably too much. And Chris is just going to be like, wow, that was a lot. And
But see, I think that's interesting because like maybe I just like expect people, if I'm being too much, I expect you to tell me that.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what, I mean, there's probably a lot that goes into that, but
Well, whenever you think
it's
about
really
it,
interesting that you say like just your nervous system is like really activated because like then my anxiety is like super high. And so of course I feel like maybe I
Right.
was too much.
Well,
Yeah.
and this is especially true if it's like new connections, like new people that you're meeting, a new group of friends. Maybe you're like going with friends to go hang out with friends that you don't know. So you're already in like this vulnerable spot, right? And you probably already are, somewhat
Yeah.
triggered because of that experience. And then you get there and you're going through everything. And I am an overthinker, so I will walk away from a conversation not wondering if I was too much, but wondering like, God, why did I say that? Who would have said something like that? So
Well,
I do that.
I do that, but it's usually way delayed because I don't even get what I said and that it was ridiculous until way later. Like sometimes years. Sometimes years.
But then what often follows this feeling is shame. And
Yeah.
and just I really don't like that. I don't like people feeling that way. And I know I can't control how people feel all the
No,
time.
not like you're bad for feeling that way. Just like Chris is saying he feels really bad
Right.
that you're feeling shame. Not that
Correct.
you better not feel shame because Chris doesn't like it.
But to me, like, I think that's where it's really important. Like,
Yeah.
if it, like that friend who texted me, like, I can see you read my text message. Like, he didn't sit there in his feelings about it. He texted me and was like, what's going on? And it's like that directness that, he didn't know my intent. And my intent was not to make him feel bad or excluded.
Yeah, of course.
And so I think whenever we get into that spiral, like you said, like we have to become aware of it so that way we can better know. And like that's because I don't want anyone to feel this like shame walking away from something being like, oh my gosh, I was too much. And
I know you're like
I'm never
one
going
of
to
the
be invited
nicest.
back.
You're one of the nicest people I've ever met. So I feel very lucky to be your friend. And you are always worried about how other people are feeling and thinking. I really appreciate that about you. Now, you talk about shame, and of course, how can I think about shame without thinking about Brene Brown and all of the work that she's done? And one of the things that she said as she defined shame that really stuck with me was basically that, like, to have shame isn't about, like, shame is not about being like regretting what you have done. It's not about the action. Shame is about who you are. So the difference between, having like regret about what you did and then feeling like you just are not enough, that's what shame is. And so the way that I'll just, not Brene Brown didn't say this necessarily, but I'll just like bring that around full circle to, how we started our conversation. If you are like constantly walking around waiting for other people to feel you can be validated, letting other people validate you, tell you that, what your value is and that you have worth, then you just leave yourself so vulnerable to, having to grapple with shame. Because like if you don't learn how to get that for yourself and give that to yourself, which is really, really hard if that's not something that, grown up with, or if there are things that you've gone through in life that, have like really torn down that self-value.
Yeah.
But to go work on that and do that work, it really makes a huge difference in not feeling like you're walking around having this shame all the time from every interaction where you feel this rejection from people. Because you're not letting those things tell you about who you are. You already know who you are.
Right. And I think the quote that you were thinking about is where she says, shame is intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. And
Not the quote I was thinking of, but that's a
okay.
good one.
Well,
It's a good
I just
one.
think it's so relevant to the conversation we're having because like I don't know if a lot of people will equivalent like belonging with love. I think we think of love as wanting, a romantic relationship, but
Yeah.
love is so much more than that. And this idea of belonging, like we started talking about at the beginning, like we're hardwired to
Yeah.
want to belong. So it would make sense that we feel, triggered whenever we are not getting those vibes.
Yeah, absolutely. Guilt was the word I was looking for. So the difference between shame and guilt. So she talks about guilt being about something that you did, and shame being about who you are as a person. So anyway,
So, are you feeling too much? Because if so,
yes, all the time.
maybe this actually means that you are looking for reassurance. Maybe you are seeking clarity. Maybe you want a level of closeness that you don't feel you are getting. And I think this one is really important. You want to feel safe. And I think we can all say, whether it's in friendships, in romantic relationships, in family relationships, we want to feel safe. We want to feel like we can be ourselves and be unapologetically who we are. And sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, sometimes that is hard. So what do we do? How do you create more of that for yourself? How do you get yourself out of those moments when you are like starting to go down the spiral? I know for me, like I take a walk,
Yeah.
get some of that. Like you talked about, you feel that feeling of too much, and uh, like you're just up here.
Yeah.
I often, when I think back in those moments, would be like, okay, I need to go do something physical. I need to go take a walk. I need to like clean something. I need to do something physical to discharge some of that
Yeah.
anxious energy.
Yeah. Well, like we've said many a times before, and we're going to anchor back to it today, the first step is awareness. And that's where I love to say, name it to tame it,
Gotta
folks.
name it to tame it. Gosh, just love that.
Understanding that it is a threat response that our brain is having. Like, that's the first thing. It is recognizing.
You're right. First is acknowledging.
Right.
So you got to notice you're in this space.
Correct.
So you're listening for yourself to think things like, I'm too much, or listening for yourself going like, what does this period mean? Or what do you think they meant by that? Or reading tone into a text message that you can't really read, or
Exactly.
circling around and around again. Like it still says unread. Why aren't they reading my text?
Right. So the first thing is the awareness factor. And once you have that awareness, that's when you can start figuring out what works for you. So like you just said, the idea of going for a walk, like the movement for you is important because it allows you to expel that energy that you're feeling. Some people prefer a cold splash of water on your face because it's like that quick sensory change, like it's that disruption. Slow breathing exercises, longer exhales than inhales, helps that nervous system kind of regain normalcy and redirect that energy. This one's super interesting, and I just had a conversation with someone about it recently. Stretching your shoulders and your jaw. Actually doing like jaw exercises because
I do hold a lot of tension in my jaw.
Yes. So when you've had a like intense day, maybe pay attention to like where you carry stress in your body, and it may be like, oh, go stretch those
I have no idea
muscles.
what that looked like on camera. So
Don't worry, we're gonna keep it.
Oh dear.
So those are
stretch my jaw over here.
So those are just some quick ways to like get that nervous system back in its proper, reset it, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. That's the advice we've talked about before that you've given me. Do not react when you're in the middle of that heightened moment, because man, you're going to wish you could take it back.
Right. And honestly, when I look back on interactions that I've had and feel bad about them, it's because I've reacted in a certain way.
Yeah. Take some time to slow it all down. Let it, the brain, like, man, I don't know what the deal is, but it can sure get hyped up really fast.
Yeah.
But it takes a minute to like deflate, to like come back down.
But think about it. If there was a dinosaur chasing you, you would want it to do that.
That's true. It's still questionable about whether dinosaurs ever chased people or lived at the same time. I don't know. But no, I'm not saying whether dinosaurs weren't real, but did they live when people lived? Or was that before the people? Okay,
All right.
we can't talk about this.
We're going back to the Natural History Museum.
We got to go back. We did not get enough time.
So then delay those reactions. Don't respond via text. Don't, like, if you write the email, don't hit send on the email.
Oh my gosh, don't even write it in the email. How many like movies have we seen where like that
Leads to
Hallmark
something
movies
bad.
specifically, where you type the draft and you don't send it and then somehow it gets sent? Like just, if you need to write it out, put it in your like little personal journal and then rip the page out later and burn it. I don't know.
Speaking of, we have a journal called Words Are Hard. It would be a great journal to put those things in.
Yeah, words are hard. And sometimes they are hard, like they were harsh.
And this is one that I think is so important, and it kind of goes back to the conversation we were having earlier. Don't outsource your worth.
Oh, I love that. That's a good slogan.
Yeah.
Don't outsource your worth. It has to come
Correct.
from in here. I have a great book that we've talked about in the past, The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem. Actually, I think about it quite often. Nathaniel Brandon is the author of it. His 6 pillars are living consciously, self-acceptance, self-responsibility, self-assertiveness, living purposefully, which is different than living consciously, and personal integrity. And like, I gotta tell you, I listened to the book. It's one of those books where the author does their own book. And, his voice is like hard to stay focused on. As he read it, he said so many things that have really helped me work on building my own self-confidence and self-esteem. And so I definitely recommend that if this is something that you're struggling with, you read the book, because while there's a lot in it that I felt like was not applicable to me, because he like approaches this from so many different angles, there I think are parts in there that like would help whatever reason you're struggling with that.
Well, and it's just important to realize that reassurance is helpful. It is not like that is not a bad thing to seek friendship, support, things like that. But your self-worth can't depend on someone else's response time. It can't depend on their texting style. It can't depend on
like what kind of day they're having.
Right. Like that's giving someone a lot of control over you. And
It
so
really is.
you really need to, when you are in those places looking for that, ask yourself, why am I looking for this externally? Why am I not finding it internally? And that's where I would, love to plug that we are not, doctors or therapists or any of that. So,
Yep.
But we love to use them, and we have our
really
own
do.
care teams. So we are.
Yeah, the six pillars of self-esteem, homework I received from my therapist, by the way. He does pick books that are very like on point.
Well, that's
very helpful.
good.
I think I've actually read more of the books he's recommended to me than anyone else recommending books to me, which says a lot because I'm not a big, like, I love a good fictional story, but I'm not a big like read for like development. I said to my friend, I used to work with this friend who I just adore her, and we worked so well together because we brought different things to the table, and I just adore her. She's a wonderful human, but she would always be recommending a book for me to read. And I said to her at one point, like, can you just recommend TED Talks instead? Because like, I'll listen to that, but I'm not going to read the book.
The book is a long commitment.
That's you got to sit still for a long time.
Which we know is already an uphill battle for you.
I mean, like, it's just not going to happen. Like, so to stay like focused for that long. So, when I get these books that I'm supposed to, do self-growth from as my homework, it's usually like I'm walking while listening to the book, staying in motion so I can stay focused, or, something like that, so that I can like really take it in.
Are you the type?
Otherwise, my mind is in 25 different places, thinking about many other things. And then I clue back in and I go, oh my gosh, how much of the book did I miss?
Are you the type of person that can like read a book and like listen to music or have the TV on or
No.
Yeah, I'm not either. People who can do that is
Aces.
like, I'm impressed.
Ace can like have like a TV show on or something and then be like working on something. And I mean, obviously not like producing a podcast because he has to listen to us. But oh, he says he does. He has a show on while he listens to us. I don't know. So if it's not perfect, you'll see why. But no, I'm just kidding. It's not the talent. Just kidding. But yeah, he is able to take in. But Ace is also the person that like when he's driving, he's able to see everything all around him that's going on all at once. Whereas when I'm driving, like I see what's going on in front of me, not like also the cars next to me and behind me all at the same time. Like I obviously check my mirrors and such, especially when you're turning, but you're looking at me like you're never going to ride in a car where I'm driving again. I don't know.
I mean, I'm beginning to understand why you want me to drive whenever we're together.
It was very stressful for me to drive. I keep trying to convince you to drive my car and you won't do it.
Oh, that's just a lot of responsibility. Okay. But back to our topic here. Jen, I want you to know when you are feeling like you are too much or too needy, it usually means there is something inside you that needs reassurance, not restraint.
Go reassure little Jen.
That's right. So don't dim your light for somebody else. Don't change who you are because you want that person back. Like, you get to be you and there is only one of you. So embrace that.
That's so sweet. Those are such good words. I'm going to listen to that again.
That'll be your new ringtone for me, even though when I call it, you don't answer. So
this is part of why I just adore our friendship so much, because you say things like that to me. So thank you. I needed that today in this moment after having this whole conversation about feeling like you're too much. And I'm just definitely feeling like I'm too much right now.
You're not, I promise.
Something about like talking about it, saying it, just really like brings it all up.
Yeah.
I think this was a good conversation because I do know many people that can relate to things that we've talked about. And so we didn't choose to talk about like the traditional Valentine's Day theme or whatever.
We came at love from another direction.
Yeah, but like loving yourself is so important. And that's so cliche to say, I know, but it really is. Like you are the person that you will have the longest relationship with in your life. And so
hold on. And this is why I have a care team.
So you might as well like yourself along the way, right? Because you spend more time with you than you do with anyone else.
I just feel like you're talking in cliches right now.
But it's so true.
It
is so true, right? It's cliche for a reason. So this Valentine's Day, or really any time of year, I think is important to take some time to love yourself as an action. Love yourself and invest in yourself and reassure yourself. And if you can't speak the words to yourself, then it's okay. You can re-listen to Chris giving the words to me and just point them at you.
Exactly. So as you are walking away from this, just know wanting connection is being human. That is part of being life. If you are feeling hurt because you are feeling people pull away, because you aren't invited, whatever it may be, you are not wrong to have those feelings. This is simple biology and neuroscience that is causing all of these things to come up in you. And remember that overthinking doesn't mean that you're broken. Again, you're just human.
You're just human. This is part of the art of living.
Welcome to planet Earth.
Welcome. Well, we would love to hear from you. We would love, now that we've shared all of our thoughts and feelings on this, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear if this is something that you can relate to, what you do when you're in these moments. If you have any good stories like that relate to this, we'd love to hear those too. Otherwise, Chris is going to end up on Reddit like reading those stories to me, and guys, like that's terrifying. So, depending on what platform you're listening to, you can leave a comment or you can reach us via email at connect@chrisandjenitm.com, or a voicemail or text us at 940-278-8129. You can also find us on the socials.
We are on the socials. We are on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We're under Chris and Jen ITM. This is the second or third time we're saying ITM. It stands for in the morning. Make sure that wherever you're listening to us on, you hit that subscribe button so you are notified when we have new content that comes out. If you want to even just throw your comments in the reviews section, we'll go look at those too.
Yeah, help us build this community. I mean, I think y'all want to hear what you have to say, not just what we have to say. So we would love for you to join in and share with us. Until next time, be kind to yourself and to one another, and let's make it a great week.
Bye, everybody.